Good morning, Ross Jason Bohmlai, 8:30 a.m. on the 3rd, 22nd, 2016. Haven't done one of these little spiels for a while. It's all being about in Vega. This morning we'll talk a little bit about human dignity, respect, and insinuations and intent to harm or violence towards another person, such as Mike Tyson, which isn't violence, it's a sport. Hitting somebody so they're knocked out and get up and something's wrong with them forever, such as dope roping. And let's talk about violence of shooting somebody with a gun too, so they don't live a life after and be psychologically traumatized by the sound of guns or other things like that. Being in a war zone, being a military officer who goes overseas and goes into theater and gets ambushed and all their friends die around them and get up. But let's get back to it. Human dignity. Human dignity is to live by human rights and laws and regulations equal before and after the law, that everybody follows the same rule book, rules of the game of life. Not to live in a monopoly and have freedom of choice to buy and own property and have the respect of being part of society and being respected by other people because you're a working part of society, and not being disrespected because you're impoverished and in social services and can't find a job, or being put on medication that bring you such harm like I have been and other people, called Invega, that makes you sit in a chair. You don't have enough physical strength to stand up. You're sodomized basically because your penis is shrunk and may or may not be able to have children anymore, any sexual real desires, because you can't have it anymore. Because that's just the way the drug works. A drug that intends to harm the male species, because it's a man-hating drug that causes such things as obesity, gynomasculis, or man boobs, which don't come off unless they give you man breast reduction, which is tens of thousands of dollars to do so. Harm to the human body because the crime of nudity in public. A man shouldn't have boobs, and a woman can't walk around with out a t-shirt around society either. Harm that you can't physically run or have any cardiovascular or physical strength for a self-defense if needed. The police and the military aren't self-defense for you. They're not around all the time. Neither is a bottle of mace. Respect from parents and siblings, that you're not a freeloader because you're stuck on social services because it's human control or trafficking, looking a blind eye to people who are making less in society what it takes to live by a fair wage, a living wage, $25 an hour or $1 million a year in the city of Vancouver if a house is $2.4 million for a little sliver of land that's maybe 50 feet by 120 feet, if lucky, in downtown Vancouver by CBC or Global BC. Human dignity is to be able to feed yourself by your own means and have a job and have adequate food supply, money in the bank, owning a house, a car, and being part of society, dignified. You're a public figure in life, or a cop, or a prime minister and that kind of stuff because somebody's chose to make you that way. You're famous because you're Mr. Picton because you kill people, or Marilyn Manson because you killed a bunch of famous actors and so on, or Marilyn Monroe because you're an actress and hung around with President Kennedy at the time, supposedly, and his brother, and died of a drug overdose. Same with Elvis and Bruce Lee and everybody like that, and every prime minister as well. Somebody chose to make you famous because your skills and talents of acting and playing a part of society, being a public figure and a public speaker, which is technically an actor because you could stand in front of somebody and go, la 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 la. Theater. Anyhow, let's talk about less desirable people and choosing and human trafficking and dictating on who has what and what not. Well, violence, just like punching somebody in the head, throwing them down on the ground, is and shooting them with a gun is injecting them with a medication that harms them from standing up and being part of the society anymore, causing them gynomasculis, huge amounts of fat on their body that it takes 50 years to get off your body because you don't have your hormones intact anymore, which testosterone supposedly and HCG and all this other kind of stuff, and human growth hormone supposedly causes your body to be skinny. Period. Violence. Human rights violation. Poisoning of, here's some laws. Intent to harm, knowing, manslaughter, torture, psychological abuse, a minister of nauseous things, putting chemicals in foods or in bodies as injections, which brings harm to another person. Insinuation, premeditated assault, false news and accusations, meaning slander, lies, and false statements, or gangsterism, a group over one person ganging up on another person. And it's quite pathetic. Since Métis days, they've been overpowering people with 22 guns, and they had muskets as well, with a couple cannons, a Gatling gun that can shoot 1,000 rounds per minute, and their rifle slash mini slugged, what do you call it, Mark III at that time, gun that was a mini shotgun basically, just with a smaller bullet. Outgunned and outmanned a bunch of Métis, and they've been doing it ever since the RCMP, or the Northwest Mounted Police, or the Dominion, we'll call them as well, since for 120 years at least. Anyhow, intending to harm human beings with violence and human trafficking by controlling them so that they have to live in less and starve to death like a Holocaust, and mislead human beings as well. It's another law. And tell them equal rights before and after the law, you will be protected. So there you go. Violence and dictatorship and human control, human rights, and charge of human rights and laws broken by human beings. To intend to harm somebody so they can't physically stand up and do anything anymore. Violence by a needle. Needle weapon, that is, that causes somebody harm. That, hey, fat is harm if it causes you a heart attack. Fat in the blood system, and causes you to become diabetic because your testosterone's too low, and harm to society because you can't procreate or be part of society, and psychologically traumatizing them over and over again. Social services, Kathy wanted me to go through this treatment with a psychiatrist and stuff like that, and my mother had a part of it, and my father, by calling me a sponge, a tool, choosing to live on social services, and the RCMP didn't want to do anything when my mother assaulted me, and so forth. Anyhow, you have all a good day. This is a fine Tuesday, it looks like outside. We got blue skies on the west coast in the Comox Valley, and that's right. Somebody gives you something in life, respect it, look after it. It might be the only thing you have if it's a piece of land, such as Aboriginal Reserve, and the house you live in, because that's just the way they made your lives, just like in the city. Period. We don't know when our time's up because they have all the control. We don't. You have a good day.